Sparked on by war fatigue, economic downfall, and the promise of hope and change, Barack Hussein Obama II was sworn into office on January 20th, 2009 as the 44th President of the United States. When the people of the United States overwhelmingly elected Barack Obama, he became the first African American president in U.S. history, a long overdue achievement. However, after campaigning on the audacity of hope and change you can believe in, President Obama has encountered many challenges to this rhetoric during his 2 terms in office. He has seen the unpopularity of his signature achievement in the Affordable Care Act, the rise of radical Islamic terrorism abroad and at home, and the increased tension between the races and an unprecedented demoralization of the police. Barack Obama II was born on August 4, 1961 in Honolulu, Hawaii. His mother, Ann Dunham, was from Wichita, Kansas, and his father, Barack Obama Sr., was from Kenya's Nyanza province. The two met while studying at the University of Hawaii and were married on February 2, 1961. As a child, Barack Obama did not have much of a relationship with his father. While still an infant, his father relocated to Massachusetts to pursue a PhD at Harvard. After several months apart, his parents eventually separated and then finally divorced in March of 1964. Obama Sr. moved back to Kenya and would only see his son once more before dying in a car accident in 1982. In 1965, his mother married Lolo Toro, a University of Hawaii student from Indonesia, and a year later, the family moved to Jakarta, Indonesia. From age 6 through 10, Obama lived in Indonesia and attended Catholic and Muslim schools. Several incidents in Indonesia left Anne fearing for her son's safety and education, so at the age of 10, she sent him back to Hawaii to live with his maternal grandparents. In high school, he excelled in basketball and graduated with academic honors in 1979. After high school, he attended Occidental College in Los Angeles for 2 years before transferring to Columbia University in New York City, where he graduated in 1983 with a degree in political science. In 1985, Obama moved to Chicago, where he worked in the South Side as a community organizer for low-income neighborhoods. Obama would later call this experience the best education I ever got, better than anything I got at Harvard Law School. After visiting family in Kenya and visiting the grave of his biological father, he returned to U.S. soil with a sense of renewal. In 1988, he entered Harvard Law School and joined the Chicago law firm of Sidley Austin as a summer associate. It was here that Obama met a young lawyer by the name of Michelle Robertson, who was assigned to be his advisor. In 1990, Obama became the first African American editor of the Harvard Law Review, and in 1991, he graduated from Harvard Law. After graduation, Obama returned to Chicago, where he was a practicing civil rights lawyer and taught constitutional law part-time at the University of Chicago Law School. On October 3, 1992, he and Michelle were married and later welcomed 2 daughters, Malia in 1998 and Sasha in 2001. Sparked by his advocacy work, Obama ran and won a seat in the Illinois State Senate as a Democrat in 1996. After an unsuccessful run in 2000 for the U.S. House of Representatives, Obama doubled down and had his eye on a U.S. Senate seat in 2004. Following the 9/11 attacks in 2001, Obama became a very vocal opponent of the Iraq War, saying, "I am not opposed to all wars, I am opposed to dumb wars." As people were beginning to take note of this rising star, he was asked to speak at the 2004 Democratic National Convention in support of John Kerry for president, in which he said,
"There is not a liberal America and a conservative America. There is the United States of America. There is not a black America and a white America and Latino America and Asian America. There's the United States of America."
Obama summed up his speeches and themes of optimism and unity with the phrase, "the audacity of hope." This idea of hope would soon become his rallying cry. Later that year, in November of 2004, Obama ran away with the largest margin of victory in the history of Senate elections in Illinois, beating out the Republican Alan Keyes 70% to 27% for a seat in the U.S. Senate. Obama became only the 5th African American elected to the Senate in U.S. history. He would remain in the Senate until 2008. After only 2 years as a senator, he formally announced his candidacy for President of the United States on February 10, 2007. After a grueling primary campaign against the former First Lady and current Senator from New York Hillary Clinton, Obama won the Democratic nomination and chose Joe Biden as his running mate. He would face off against former prisoner of war and current Senator from Arizona, John McCain. Obama used his talents as a community organizer to build support at the grassroots level, and he also used the internet to his advantage unlike anyone before him. Using the slogans of Hope and Change, Yes We Can, Change We Can Believe In, and Change We Need, Obama won over a country that was tired of an unpopular Iraq war and who was also in the middle of a crushing financial crisis. In an historic turnout, Barack Obama defeated John McCain to become the 44th President of the United States. When he was inaugurated on January 20, 2009, in Washington, D.C., President Obama became the first African American president in our nation's history. Regardless of whether people voted for him or not, there was a sense of the magnitude of this election. This was a part of our history that all Americans could be proud of and was long overdue. There were many challenges that the president faced during his first term. However, two stood out. After a hard-fought battle trying to convince the American people of its virtues, Obama, along with a partisan Congress, voted to pass the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. From the very beginning, this was a controversial bill because of its lengthy 2,700 pages, plus an additional 11,000 pages and growing of regulations that no one who was voting for it had taken the time to read. Even when questioned about the details of the bill, House Majority Leader Nancy Pelosi said,
"But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it."
And when the president was questioned how the law would affect people that already had insurance, the response was,
"I intend to keep this promise. If you like your health care plan, you'll be able to keep your health care plan.
If you like your plan and your doctor, you can keep them.
You'll be able to keep your health care plan.
If you like your plan."
However, what Americans soon found out after the bill became law and insurance companies implemented what the government required of them was that all these promises were not true. Not only were people losing their plans and their doctor, they were losing their insurance altogether.
If you like your health care plan, you can keep your health care plan.
No matter what you've heard, if you like your doctor or healthcare plan, you can keep it.
After 6 years, the Affordable Care Act remains as controversial as it ever was. In 2012, with the theme of Forward, President Obama ran a campaign devoted more on tearing down his Republican opponent, Mitt Romney, instead of pushing his own accomplishments or vision for the future. Despite this lack of agenda for his second term, he was successful in winning the election. His second inaugural ceremony was on January 20th, 2013. Just like his first term, his second has seen some controversy. While doing an interview with the New Yorker magazine, he was asked about some rebel groups in Syria who we now know as ISIS. President Obama responded by saying, "The analogy we use around here sometimes, and I think is accurate, is if a JV team puts on Lakers uniforms, that doesn't make them Kobe Bryant." It was this underestimating of ISIS that many believe led to their eventual expansion throughout the region, Europe, and here at home. Domestically, during his second term in office, we have seen a rise in tensions between the races. A whole portion of our society feels unsafe and unsure of where their place is in our country. This unfortunately has resulted in an anti-police crusade that is leaving our country less secure than ever. This is a time when a leader is needed to step up, step in, and fill the gap between these two groups and calm the waters. But instead, many say the tension has only been stoked by the president. President Obama's response to this growing problem is basically no response at all. Obama exemplified many character qualities as president, but one that stands out is that of decisiveness. When he decides in his mind something is the correct thing to do, he stands by it, not giving in to the pushback he receives, just like in the case of the Affordable Care Act. This was a bill that he believed in, and no matter what the naysayers pushed back on, he stayed firm and pushed back even harder. However, sometimes this can be considered headstrong and closed off to other ideas, even if they might be good. President Obama also showed the quality of patience. Anytime you saw him on stage or at a debate, he was always patient and would let others speak before he offered his input. He also showed patience with the operation to take out Osama bin Laden. Instead of jumping the gun and forcing the situation to take place before he was ready, he took his time, in this case years, and made sure all the intelligence was there and everyone was in agreement before he gave the green light. In President Obama's downtime, he likes to play golf a lot. In fact, it is his love of playing golf and his many golf outings at the taxpayer's expense that has many referring to him as the golfer-in-chief. As his final term in presidency is nearing an end, he's not been very clear on what he will do when he leaves the White House. Many speculate that he might go back to being a community organizer. Some say that he might start his own political action committee to continue to fight for the agendas he believes is still needed to make this country a better place. Either one of these would fit him well because at his word, many of his talents will shine. President Barack Obama will either be remembered as the best president ever or the worst. It all depends on one's ideology, and if the changes he made were the changes they wanted, and if the hope he preached brought them the hope they had desired. I think Obama has hurt this nation by bringing it further away from Christ and biblical principles. However, I do believe God can use certain people or circumstances, being positive or negative, to bring his people back to the point where they trust him fully. I think God has used President Obama in this way, to bring us closer to him. But no matter how a person feels about President Obama's policies or his ideology, as Americans we should appreciate the history of his presidency and respect President Obama for doing what he felt was best for our country and for being the first African American to be elected as President of the United States.
And with that, I just have two more words to say. Obama out.